I hope you can find a seat. First off, I want to thank everybody for coming. I know it's Memorial Day weekend, and yeah, and there's a festival going on over in Tonkawa. I mean, it's just one thing and another. But anyway, I want to thank everybody for coming. As always, we start off with a prayer, and we are blessed to have Pastor Jack here. Where you at, Pastor? There you are. And so I'm going to ask Pastor Jack to do our prayer for us. Thank you.
I don't like missing. Praise God. It's good to be here today. We got a good crowd for Memorial Day, actually. So it's good to have you guys on the internet, too. Thank you for being with us. Father, Lord, we just open up this meeting today, Lord, and we ask your presence here. God, you see our country, and we pray, God, that you would guide us and that you would direct us, that you'd get us back on course, Lord, and Father, that you would help us. And Lord, I pray your protection over us in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor.
Thank you.
And Derek, would you lead us in the pledge? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen. Okay, here, let me get my notes up. All right, prayer and pledge. Now, I got some introductions to make. First and foremost, Pastor Jack. This is his church, and this is 4.5 years I've had this as a solid venue. Back in the AV booth, we have Stephen Phipps. He's been here every meeting. He does the streaming. He does the microphones. I walk in. He's got the. I walk in the door and the meeting's ready to go. I'm just blessed. Plus, he's the guy that almost 5 years ago, he saw my announcements about me forming a chapter here in K County. He called me and laid this venue right in my lap. And those of you that are coordinators know what a blessing that is. So, okay, let's see. First off, we have Wade Duroy right here. And Wade is our former coordinator for Nowata County. And he will be sometime this summer taking over the Payne County chapter. And if you see that pretty Indian motorcycle outside, that's his new ride. Let's see. Then we've got Bruce Mullins. Bruce, he's the little guy sitting over here. Bruce is our coordinator in Harper and Beaver County up at the northwest corner. Beaver County is the first county you hit going into the Panhandle. At Harper?
Well, Harper, then Beaver. You're right.
Right. Beaver's right at the line, isn't it? Okay. We're both right.
But it's in the
Also, he's the new mayor of Laverne, and he asked me that when you do address him, he prefers to be addressed as Your Excellency. Hefe, you know, not long after I came on board, I started calling Don Spencer Hefe, because in New Mexico, that is a supreme sign of respect and authority, the boss. And he didn't take to it too well. I think he thought I was calling him something he didn't want to be called, so I dropped it. Now I just call him boss. He doesn't mind that. Let's see. And then Keith McClure, he's the other little guy sitting in front of the first little guy. Keith is, about 2 months now, right? Our assistant coordinator up in Grant and Alfalfa counties. They meet in Medford. What Thursday is it? Third Thursday of every month at the Methodist Church. You go in the main door and go down about 8 steps and you're in their meeting room. They have great meetings up there. And the other 2 coordinators are Alan and Clayton Jewell. Alan is former chief of police in Medford, and Clayton is his son, and he's EMT and a real involved guy. Okay, folks. Wayne, hey, how you doing? Did you win some money last night? Other than the meetings, the only place I run into Wayne and his wife is at the Bremen Casino. And the first time I ran into them, they sent over some of their the coupons they get for gambling and bought my dinner for me. They're good folks. Hello, welcome. Don't forget to do the sign-in sheet. Folks, please do what you can to encourage people to attend these meetings. We had John Pfeiffer, our representative, spoke at our meeting at Tuesday of this month over in Tonkawa at Mary's Grill, and we had a pretty good crowd for Tonkawa, 22 people. And folks, it's a lot easier for Don to convince these politicians to do what he's asking them to do if when they come to any OK2A meeting, they have a good crowd, because those are voters. And I would bet anything that the average voting rate of our OK2A people, I'll bet it's triple or quadruple whatever the national average is, because you folks are involved. Glenn, oh, by the way, I forgot to introduce Glenn Cope, Dr. Glenn Cope, my pastor and my co-coordinator. And also Glenn is the guy who does the legislative updates every week to send to Don Spencer that he distributes out. And right at the end of the meeting, Glenn's going to give some updates on the session. Okay, and let's see. Anyway, folks, encourage anyone and everyone to come, friends, relatives, co-workers. Has anybody noticed the country's going to hell? Anybody notice that? Folks, it's getting worse. And one of the things that's getting worse, now, as I said, this is the last week of the session. Thursday is the last business day. Friday, they get together and have a party. I'm sure there's a little adult beverages consumed at that party. First off, the primary is June 18. That's when you've got a chance to vote for who's going to be the Republican, or if you're a Democrat, the Democrat nominee for our area, for whatever district or area they're running for. Folks, in Oklahoma right now, these primaries, I think, are more important than the general election in about 75 or 80% of our jurisdictions, because Republicans almost always get elected. Hello. Thanks for coming. There's a sign-in sheet on the back table. If you'd do that for me, I'd appreciate it. When I was a kid, the Democratic primary in Oklahoma was the only election that counted. Whoever won the primary as a Democrat back then got elected governor or senator. That's all flipped here, I think in 2009 or so. Anyway, there is one bill in particular that's still alive, and I put that kind of in quotes because it's on life support at the legislature. It's Bill SB 426, Senate Bill 426. And that bill, Biden has already signed the authorization. I forget the day, but someday, the end of this month, the World Health Organization, WHO, and they are an absolute evil, completely owned and operated by the globalist movement. He is giving them our sovereignty. The WHO, out of, I think they're in Brussels or somewhere, they can declare a worldwide or a nationwide. They can require masks, they can require injections, they can close schools, they can close shopping malls, they can close businesses, they can require you to stay in your home. In Australia, I don't know if it's still in effect, in Australia, people were not allowed to leave their home, and they were prohibited by law from visiting across the fence to their neighbors in the backyard. That's how bad it can get, folks. We've got inflation in this country, and how bad it can get. In Germany in 1923, when it peaked, it was 4.2 trillion with a T, trillion marks to buy a dollar. That's what can happen with runaway inflation. Anyway, this bill 426 gives the state government the authority to tell the World Health Organization to stick it where the sun don't shine. So this is a vital bill, and it's like I said, it's just barely on life supports. So could you put Senator Clinton up there? Senator Bill Clinton is Coleman. Folks, as always, I never make mistakes. I'm just checking to see if the audience is paying attention. You passed. Bill Coleman is our representative in the Senate for our area, Senate District 10. We need to call and email. This is his office number. Always be, hey, Melvin. Melvin likes to come in and make a big grand entrance. Anyway, we need to call, always be courteous and respectful, but express your absolute desire that he do anything he can to support SB 426. If you don't want to write it down, take a picture of that, and then you'll have it in your phone with all the information. As was mentioned briefly earlier by Pastor Jack, we are streaming this. We've streamed all of our meetings. This is the first time I've actually advertised that we are streaming, because I wanted people to show up and come here. However, last month when we had Senator Brooks here, we had 42, I think, in the audience, but we had between 22 and 25 people online the whole time monitoring the meeting. So, and this is a way people in Lawton or Ardmore or wherever that can't make the drive can enjoy our meetings. So, first off, I want to welcome everybody that's out there that's streaming the meeting. We're going to get to Q&A, and I will, when we get to Q&A, we're going to put my phone number up here. I can't guarantee it, folks that are not here in the room, but if I have time, if you want to text me to my phone number, any questions, I will try to fit them in. But obviously the people who made the effort to show up and put their butt in the seats here are going to get preferences on questions. But anyway, so we'll get to that shortly. Also, back at the back table, in addition to the sign-in sheet, Glenn has membership applications for the Oklahoma Second Amendment Association. Memberships start at $25 a year. Folks, the country's falling apart. Glenn and I and all these other coordinators put a lot of time, effort, and in most cases money into these meetings to make them happen every month in our area. It's because we want to be involved, because we know what's going on, and we want to be involved and try and have an effect on the outcome and save our Constitution. The easiest thing in the world for you to do to be involved is come. All we ask is come to one meeting a month. It'll run an hour, hour and a half. You'll be informed and maybe a little bit entertained. So please spread the word. It is vital when we have these politicians come to speak at these meetings. A large crowd, even online, is more impressive and makes it a lot easier for Don Spencer to get them to do what he wants them to do. So, folks, it's get involved, stay involved, join us, and come to a meeting, whatever area of the state you're in. You can find a meeting. My phone number will be up here shortly, and if you need information, those of you online about meetings in your area, please call me. My number is a 24/7 number. You'll never bother me calling me about anything to do with our freedoms and our liberties. And I control my phone. It doesn't control me. If I'm asleep, if I'm eating a $50 steak, if I'm in a meeting, you'll go to voicemail, leave me a message. I promise I'll call you back. This is my mission in my old age, so don't hesitate to call me. As I said, you'll never bother me. All right, we have two guests today. Now, I had on the flyer advertised that Robin Carter was going to be here. She couldn't make it, but Suzanne Johnson, you're from Nash? Okay. Anyway, she's here as Robin's representative, And then Darren Hamilton, the guy back there in that nice black hat. I don't know how you can wear a black belt in the summer, brother. You're tougher than me. Anyway, so we're going to go get right to what we're going to do. Each one's going to have about 10 minutes. I'm not going to be draconian about it. But and then each will speak, and then we will have questions from the floor. If we have enough time, I would like to give each one of them a couple of minutes as a rebuttal to whatever the other one said. And Darren, it was my first scheduled guest, so I'm going to give you the microphone first. Darren Hamilton, running against both candidates are running against Frank Lucas. Everybody in here knows who Frank Lucas is. So he's been there 30 years. 30 years
Since
either.
1994.
Yeah. So
Weren't things great in 94? And now what do we have?
those you old timers may remember he spoke here last year sometime. I think it was last summer. So anyway, this is Darren Hamilton. He's one of the contenders for District
3.
Congressional District 3. It's all yours,
All right.
buddy.
Hi, folks. Thank you for having me here. Thanks for Terry. He's a great patriot, and being part of OK2A and as much work as he does, that's one of the things that really counts for our country, because he needs to bring people like you together. One of the other things is we've got to talk to more of our youth, because unfortunately, a lot of us have gray hair here, and we've got to pass on what we have. What's that? Or no hair. Yeah. It's getting pretty short. Like Terry said, our country is in a world of hurt. That's one of the reasons I decided to stand up, try to run for Congress, see what happens. My campaign platforms are freedom, which is the first and most important thing, security, because we have to secure our border, and prosperity, the thing that we've always been promised by our government. Freedom, it's what our country was built on. We have the Constitution to preserve those freedoms, but we keep electing representatives in there that stay for years and years. In some cases, it's almost like a retirement home. Schumer, McConnell, Feinstein passed away recently. Those folks have been there forever. And have they made our country better? Have they protected our rights? When a representative goes to Washington, D.C., that's their first priority. Protect their people's rights. They sure have made themselves wealthy. Maybe I'll talk a little bit about that. But so we have the First and Second Amendment. Those are obviously the first and most important ones. We have to have our freedom of speech, so it's not abridged. We have to have our freedom to worship however we choose. We have to have the freedom of assembly. January 6th didn't get much freedom of assembly, did they? No, they got lured in and they got catfished by Pelosi and friends, and a bunch of them are in jail. I have friends in jail. I know people that have been threatened by the FBI, and I pray that Trump gets in there. I worry that if he doesn't, something happens. We all know that could be a dirty road. But those folks, they need compensation and they need pardons. They need released, Some of them haven't even had trial. I don't know how that's, how that's even possible when the Sixth Amendment, we're guaranteed a speedy trial, right to a speedy trial. Hasn't happened. So those are some of the things that we need to protect our freedoms, because if we don't, they're going away. Security, basically, our military it was trashed in the Obama era. Let's call it that. He went in there and he got rid of a ton of patriots, generals, and lower officers that were there to protect our country. They were the John Waynes. We don't have many more John Waynes out there, do we? We got people that dress up in dresses and say they're women, and they think they can command, the military and stuff. And it's disgusting. So besides rebuilding the military, which Trump started to do, that has to continue. I support that vehemently. There's a lot of spending that has to go on, but that spending, it pales in comparison to how much our welfare and social programs that we're on the books for, you know, and a lot of those are going to have to be cut. And that's part of the government administrative state that has been allowed to build up. This is one of the things that frustrates me greatly. Congress has the right to legislate. They've created every administrative agency that exists today. They create it by law. Yet they've not gone through and taken them away. They can take away the funding, they can fire people, they can do all of that if they choose to. But it's too controversial because they don't want to make a choice or a decision that will get them, you know, in trouble in an election. They worry about the elections more than taking care of our country and protecting us. It's all part of the security. You know, we've got the open border. We know constitutionally the federal government is supposed to protect our sovereign borders, and they don't. They leave it open. So terrorists, drug traffickers, all those bad things can come across. And not only does that threaten us individually, but it taxes our sheriffs, our local law enforcement, our state law enforcement. They have to spend money to take care of this. And it's a big problem because a lot of places, especially out in the panhandle, they don't have a lot of money, you know, and if they have to go take care of a marijuana grow or, you know, a gang members or something, they're wasting money on that instead of being able to protect the folks that they have there when the federal government should have done their job in the first place. So that goes around the security. The prosperity basically is we're taxed too much. They keep raising taxes to pay for all this administrative state. We've got a massive government and nobody's doing anything about it. Nobody's cutting back. I was hoping, you know, I kept hoping that Frank would do something. He would, you know, say, oh, it's election year. Maybe I should vote with the people, you know, vote for the people that I represent. He passed the omnibus bill, had tons of pork in it, you know, more things that violate our constitutional protections, violating the Fourth Amendment with the red flag center that he got for the DOJ. Unfortunately, all I can talk about is bad stuff. The good stuff is when we get, you know, our Congress to act and represent us. Maybe we can solve some of these issues. Maybe we can remove some of the administrative state. Maybe we can, you know, cut our taxes, not spend it on all the welfare programs and all the foreign places we send our money to. I'll say another thing on security. So I got a little notice from a friend of mine that, you know, be ready. Always be ready. Always have extra food. Always have extra water. Always have your car fueled up as much as you can because you don't know if something's going to happen. We're very worried about that with the coming election. And you have actors like China that want to invade Taiwan. You have Russia and Ukraine. We've spent way too much money on Ukraine. I don't agree with it. What's that? Well, they blockaded Taiwan. Yeah. They say it's a military exercise, but we don't know. And curiously, about the middle of the week, Russia launched a new anti-satellite weapon that a lot of people are very scared about. Whether it's a nuclear device that could do an EMP attack, we don't know, or it could take out any number of satellites that we need for navigation, our phone systems, any of that. So we're in a precarious spot. My job is a satellite engineer, so I'm fairly tech savvy, and I also do a lot of program management, and I believe those skills can be used in Washington, D.C. to hopefully help fix it, because that's what engineers do. If something's broke, we look at all the problems, we analyze it, and we find solutions to fix it. All right? So that's all it. What something else I want to say before I stop my spiel. You know, it's Memorial Day. My grandpa was a 2nd Marine Division in the Pacific. He told me great stories. And like I said, we need more people like him, the greatest generation. We've got to create the next greatest generation. Because if we don't, we're losing our country. The Constitution was created to give our posterity the freedoms and rights that we had growing up. I grew up in the 80s. I liked it. It was fun. I felt safe. Ronald Reagan was in charge. He defeated the Soviet Union. And since then, and it's what vexes me It frustrates me even more since I can go back to 1994, so 30 years. Things were good. Things were pretty good. We felt pretty secure. The economy wasn't too bad, and it's all been squandered. Peace with Russia, we had that. We could have parlayed that into a greater relationship so that we wouldn't be threatened by them, but we wasted it. And that's what we have to worry about when we go to the ballot box, to find people that are going to think through those things and not ruin it for our future. So I'll go ahead and open up questions if you have any. Oh, all together? Okay. All right. So thank you very much.
Suzanne Johnson is, what's the name of your group over there?
Sons and Daughters of Liberty.
Sons and Daughters of Liberty. She's been real active for years. And so she's here to represent Robin Carter. So you want to take the mic? It's your turn. Let's give her a hand, folks. Thanks for driving in.
Thank you all very much. Thank you for your patriotism. I appreciate being here on this weekend. Before I got here, I went out, knocked on doors, and put up information for the voters. That's something everybody can do. You know, if you can walk, you can do that. It's good exercise for us. We got to stay fit because we got battles ahead of us. I want to recognize any of those of you that have served in the military. If you'd stand at this time. I don't know how many of you know that Mr. Lucas was censured by the 3rd District in April by a unanimous vote. I had, before the meeting started, spoken with the people from his county. And one of the fellows pushed back from the table and folded his arms. Oh, well, Frank is a personal friend of mine. And I just started reading off of things that Mr. Lucas has been voting for. He's voted to give arms to Iraq. Okay, that's an act of treason. He's voted to give our tax dollars to the Center for Biological Diversity. And he says he's for Oklahoma values. He's voted to give our tax dollars for cluster munitions to foreign powers, to Lebanese armed forces. And he's been doing this right under the noses of the people of the 3rd District. Okay. He is no Republican. When you vote for Nancy Pelosi 40% of the time, you are not a Republican. Now, I got to watch myself. Mr. Hamilton said I was unhinged. He thought when I was talking to the guy representing Mr. White that was representing Lucas in Fairview. And I can be very frank, and I won't attack a person physically, but I am a truth speaker. And I believe that God wants us to speak the truth. And it's so important that each one of us do our part to do that very thing. I know Robin Carter to be an honest person. Time and time again, I say, well, I want to do this on the side, and I want to put up this bulletin, bulletin on this roadside. And she says, I can't talk to you about that, Suzanne. I can't talk to you about that. I had this made. I paid for it. I have my signs made. I paid for it because I don't know what good the money in the bank is going to do if our freedom is going under, if our country is no longer ours. We are not, and this is said by an individual on the radio, we are not, I think it was Dan Bongino, a republic. We are a police state right now. And it's up to us, we that care, we that vote, we that are willing to go the distance to take our country back. Robin, bless her, for being willing to put her neck on the chopping block and go out. I would want to walk in that slime pit of Washington, but I appreciate her willingness to do it. I've donated 3 times to her campaign. I hope everybody else is willing to do the same, because if we don't take it back, I think this is the death knell of our republic already. We didn't get a fair election last time. Lucas did not stand for our votes. Lucas was Biden's right-hand man in trying to get people to take the shot. My brother had a heart attack after his, and he works out about 90 minutes a day, except for Sundays. Slim and trim and no previous existing conditions. My cousin Jeff had a heart attack after his shot. The GOP chair in Alfalfa County, Woods County, was 7 days from losing his job because he didn't want to take that shot. Now, we can't let him run over us. We just can't do it. We need somebody in there in Washington that's willing to say no, that knows dollars and cents, and Robin does. She's been working as a CPA for years in finances, headed up the financial division of Aetna for years, and knows how about medical finances and how we can get rid of Obamacare and put something much better in its place. And it's not, I'm sorry? Exactly. And don't, I mean, Lucas is dirty. I'm sorry, he is. You can't go and spend drop $100,000 a week every year in Vegas with the best hotels and the best food and not have that money coming from somewhere. Now, I hope that you all will get out there and walk your areas. There's two little ladies here in K County, and they set me up and told me the parameters where they have gone already. You can do that too. You can get with your GOP people in your areas. Walk your areas, talk to your friends, put it on your Facebook page if you've got one. Text your friends and put it on, send emails to people. Everybody can do something to save our country. By and large, we're in our district, we're in the situation we're in because a lot of people are not educated as to what Lucas has been doing. This is only one page of 3.5 of his nay votes against the House Republicans. And he's been voting against their efforts to cut spending. He's never met a spending bill he doesn't love. That guy can spend our money so fast and make your head just swim. And every quarter I gotta write a check to the federal government. And I know they're using it to kill babies across the world. And I know they're using it to give our money to foreign powers that have been our enemies. I know that's what they're doing. But I gotta do it or go to jail. We gotta stop it. We absolutely have got to stop it. I'm begging you to do your part. I'm begging you. My ancestors fought in the revolution. This is what I can do in my time. To stand for freedom. Stand for the Constitution. I think we should be pledging allegiance to the U.S. Constitution. And I've told Frank Lucas right to his face, you have broken your oath of office. Like so many of those people that go up to Washington. They don't care about it. They're going to be held accountable by God for that. And I hope we, the voters of America, will hold them accountable for what they're doing. He was censured, Lucas that is, by the general body of the Oklahoma GOP in May, early this month in Oklahoma City. There wasn't any objections to it. And I'll just read off some of the things that were part of that resolution. Because he voted to arm the IRA against us with our tax dollars again. He used our tax dollars again for the Center for Biological Diversity for $100 billion to Ukraine. That's unaccounted for, okay? And Zelensky has been crooked for years, and that's where the left has been doing their money laundering for years. He voted to give funds available to the Lebanese armed forces. We get to pay for them to pay the sovereign debt of Ukraine. And that's this is just the tip of the iceberg with Lucas. He's horrible with a lot of awful sprinkled on top. Thank you again for being here. I hope you'll support Robin Carter. She is by and far away, the best candidate we've got going for that 3rd district, the most educated and the most conservative. And I just leave that with you, and thank you very much for your time. Oh.
Okay, folks, the way we're gonna do questions, those of you that know my meetings already know this, but I need to cover. I'll raise your hand, I'll call on you, and the order you raise your hand as best I can see and remember. But, and normally I don't allow follow-up questions, but since we've got candidates that are fighting it out for the same seat, the same slot on the ticket, I am gonna allow some follow-ups. I'll determine how many. So, since I run the meeting. And as I mentioned earlier, those of you that are streaming, if you have any questions, that's the phone number, that's my phone number, and text me any questions you have, and depending on how much action here is in the room, I will get to your questions if and when I can. All right, we've got Melvin. Why am I not surprised you got the first question?
No.
He may have the last.
I got a question for both of you. What kind of background you got in politics? Or you're representing and you're.
Darren, go ahead and go
Zero.
first and then move
I've
on.
never ran for office before. I've just been working for my company for 23 years. You know, I went to college, have a family. That's what I've been doing.
Suzanne?
Robin's been very active in conservative movement, going to CPAC. She went to CPAC in Washington. She goes to OPAC in Oklahoma City. She's very involved in what's going on in our country and has taught me a lot of stuff, and I thought I was paying attention. So, and I personally have been involved since, even in high school, I was running to my senator. So, that's me, but that's not Robin, but.
Can give the same speeches, and then when they get in office.
Okay, we're doing.
What's gonna stop them?
Melvin, we're doing questions, not statements. I appreciate it.
What's gonna stop them from changing their? When they get
Yeah,
in
well,
office?
but we're doing questions, folks. Please, if you got a statement you want to make, come talk to me afterwards. If it's good, I'll let you come up and speak at one of my meetings.
No, that's the question. What's gonna stop them?
What's going to stop? Well, I'll tell you this, Robin's honest. And that is the quality that you need to have going to DC. Somebody said, well, Lucas was good when he got in there. Well, I went back Congress by Congress, and you can do that on jbs.org. He got a 58 on the Freedom Index, the very first Congress he was in. And a 58 is failing where I went to school, Oklahoma State, and it's a failing grade now. So I say, you got to be honest going in, and you got to honor your commitment to the people. And Robin has a contract with Oklahomans. I brought several if you were interested in looking at that. I didn't want to read it to you because I know y'all can read. So, thanks.
You can address question to both or to one, okay? Ron, you were next. And then you're back.
What will your efforts be to repeal the 1934 National Firearms Act?
She's very, very pro Second Amendment. So I haven't answered that question, so I couldn't answer that.
Well, you know what the National Firearms Act is?
So that goes along with the ATF, but all the tax stamps that have to be paid for fully automatic or suppressed weapons. Generally, I say we shouldn't have it. The NFA should be repealed because the people deserve the right to own the same firearms that anyone in the military or anyone else has. What happens in the inner cities and stuff, that's a little sketchy, but that's not our problem, so to speak. Our freedoms are guaranteed by the Constitution, by the Second Amendment, and that's how it should be. That's how I feel about it.
There shouldn't be any stamps.
General question for whoever. These people we've elected ignore our laws, continue to treat us like peons and dirt. They ignore the Constitution. When are we going to start throwing some people in jail?
Good question.
Well, they've already weaponized the IRS, the DOJ, the FBI. You know, Robin had them charge into her home with weapons drawn, 15 to 20 men. I don't know, maybe some of you don't know that. And it was because she was looking into election fraud. They don't, because Lucas voted down, we don't have a right to warrant now. Because Lucas didn't care about that. They don't need a warrant to come into our homes now. And he's part of the deep state.
Yeah, it goes back to going to the Constitution and asserting our rights. And constitutional sheriffs are a big way that has to be, that has to be put forward. So anytime, like for raids, federal agents come into your town or territory, they're supposed to notify the local law enforcement because they don't want to have bad coordination. But when they do that, you need to have a constitutional sheriff that makes sure they're not just, like raiding Robin's place for whatever that was. They're not running in there. There's no reason to tromp into so many places with arms when all they have to do is knock on your door and ask you or call you. The guy that got shot in Arkansas that ran the airport, that's a complete abuse of power by the ATF. And most of those agencies at this point, we kept hearing about, there's going to be whistleblowers, they're gonna help us clean our system up. I don't think there is. And basically we've got to defund all these agencies and Congress needs to start new ones.
Defunding, that's the key. That's what Congress can do. Speaking of the justice system today, it's the place we've gotten to in this country, folks. Being raided by the FBI is a resume enhancement.
Absolutely.
Think of it. That's where we've gotten to. The whole system's coming apart, and that's what we're here for, is to fight it.
FBI or IRS.
Yeah.
Any of them.
Yeah, go ahead. Then you're next, Bruce. Go ahead.
I agree with what you say about all the divisions that we have and all the struggles that we have, and everything is unconstitutional, and we all know that. And we've been hearing that for 4 years, and now we've been hearing people rubbing their hands together. We know what to do, but how are you going to execute it? Because we have everything against the law, but the DOJ, like we say, is unjust, it's not justice. So how will you do that?
Okay? If I get to Congress, I will not just sit in my office and write letters to agencies. I will go directly to the agencies. If there is a person in my district being under investigation unfairly, we still have criminals and you have to review those cases, then I will go to the agent in charge of that investigation and talk to them. Frank has up on his webpage a little drop down that if you need help with the federal government, please contact me. But I want to let you know the administrative agencies have full leeway and I can't really do anything about it. But I'll talk to you and maybe I'll be able to help you. Yeah.
Robin and I have spoken about these kind of things, and she would like to get rid of the agencies. I don't speak to them. They need to go. They're sucking the lifeblood out of us, and we don't need to pay for those agencies. The Department of Education needs to go bye-bye. It needs to go to the local communities. They're the ones who care about their kids and grandkids. They're the ones going to do the best job for the upcoming generation, not the federal government, who's busy and has been busy indoctrinating kids, especially on the college campuses. It's just horrifying what they're doing there. Your poor child goes to school, you pay all this money, and they come out a little commie. And that's common. Happened to my brother Jeff in Kingfisher County. Send it to his kids to Ivy League schools, and they come out socialists.
The obvious answer, folks, to this is getting rid of these agencies. I don't think the FBI or ATF is fixable. But you have to understand, whoever gets elected for District 3 seat is one vote out of 435 in the House and no votes at all out of 100 in the Senate. So they're powerful and they've got a lot more stroke than any of us in this room have, but They're one of 535 people up there. So attitude is better, I think, than plans because they're only going to be able to implement so much. The bottom line, I agree with both of them, is to just cancel out these agencies.
Got to get the votes for it, though.
Yeah, that's the
tough.
key. That's the
tough.
key. Okay, let's see. Bruce, you were next.
Yeah, I've got to say that both of you, what you say, both of you, music to Republicans' ears. But that's the problem. We hear that from everybody running for office. My question is more about integrity and truthfulness. And I'm going to point this one at Mr. Hamilton.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you live, sir?
I live in Fort Supply.
No, you don't. I live 20 miles from Fort Supply. I've been by your house. It's
Yeah.
a $50,000 shack that you've never stepped
Shack,
foot.
thanks. I appreciate
It
that.
is. When you want to tell the people here about your $700,000 home in Castle Rock?
Yeah, I will, because that's the home I had before I moved to Oklahoma.
Where do you live?
I live in Fort Supply, Oklahoma.
You don't understand. I have all kinds of people in Fort Supply.
I
You
don't
live
have
in-
neighbors next to me, okay? I have the school across from me, I have storage sheds across from me, and I have a fence around my place. I'm sorry if they don't see when I'm there. I'm sorry I don't know the mayor, and I'm pissed off because you brought this up.
Oh, no, I
Robin
found this myself.
doesn't even
I
live in
found
our
this
district.
myself back to my people in my OK2A meeting that I couldn't make, brought up some questions. So I did my homework, which I would ask everybody in this room. Any candidate you're looking at, do your homework. It's found on the internet.
I've said it before that I work out of state and I travel for my work at all of my OK2A meetings.
So you let your
think
grass
I'm a
grow
liar,
that
that's
tall,
fine, but I'm
that
not a
tall, and
liar.
The fence is blowed over. I've got pictures of it. Just look it up. What's the address? 401 or 411 Custer, Fort Supply.
All right.
Terry, may I
But,
say?
but hold on a second. We're going to go to some more integrity. You say you vote as a Republican. How come your voter registration in Colorado is
Because I don't vote in
undeclared?
Colorado. I vote in Oklahoma where I moved to
When did you move here?
in 2021. And that's what my voter registration says right back there. If you want, here's my freaking ID.
You can
Huh?
have all that can be done. I'll tell you what. I live 20 miles up the road. Why don't you invite me down to meet you at your house?
Sure.
That's it. You own property there. That makes it easy for you to get all that stuff. Makes it super easy. All that stuff. Give me the look. My name's not Carter. You won't run me over. I'll tell you that right now. I've heard you on tape being very nasty to Miss Carter.
Let's lower the
Whoa.
temperature just a bit, okay?
May I speak just a minute?
You've also told people your children go to Fort Supply School. I've checked
I
into
never
that.
said that.
What I've been, that one I had to say that one by hearsay, and I do live by what I believe is true. But I know the truth part about you don't live.
So
in a
my
house
dad living in Enid and me spending time with him doesn't count either.
Would spending time with who?
My dad
It doesn't
Where's your dad?
establish.
in Enid.
Enid's fine, but you tell people it's Fort Supply. Your own Facebook.
All right, look it.
Your own Facebook page says from Fort Supply. That implies you live there for a long time or you're from there. Folks,
Fort
I'm
Supply.
telling you right now, anybody want to see me after this and see the pictures of this supposed house he lives in? And I can show you the assessor's office report that says it belongs to a Darren S. Hamilton.
Yep.
And ain't nobody living there. I know people, Darren. I know a lot
That's
of people.
great, but I don't.
I know
talk
way
to
more
folks.
people than you do.
May I say a word? I was working for three great candidates in Woodward yesterday. I happened to be in line at Walgreens with two of people that say their neighbors, they live there in Fort Supply, and they say they have never seen him. The mayor
I got
says
married at the Methodist church.
they did say you were married there, but they say you have never lived there. They have lights that come on at night and then they go off during the day. And according to the mayor, that's also the case. The sheriff has been in communication with me and they're looking into that and he's contacted the FBI.
Sheriff never told me anyone a crack guy tried to break into my house.
A crack dry, what?
Look,
Well, let's go to a simpler question. I don't mean to carry this out. Just 1 second. CD4, Colorado, where your big home is,
CD4 in
the
Colorado.
congressman there is retiring, I understand. How come you're not up there trying to make Colorado red?
Because I don't live in Colorado. This
Well, that's what
license says I
nice
don't
house
live.
you say you don't live in. Give me that look.
That's why politics never work in this country.
It's been working for
People
250
divided
years.
over issues, the church is divided, and America's been taken over by UN, if you want. Politics is out of it. UN's taken over.
Folks, there's only two ways to solve the problems in this country. One involves blood in the street, the other involves politics. I will do everything, we need to do everything we can to solve these problems with politics. We don't need blood in the streets, folks. We've been down that road before in this country. Over 600,000 dead, and I think that'd be equivalent to like 20 or 30 million dead with today's population. We don't need that. But the system is clunky, and it's what Thomas Jefferson say, the system doesn't work well, but it's so much better than anything else. So it's like owning an old junker. You still drive that old beat up ugly junker around because that's the only car you got. Folks, this is the only car we got. We've got to make a difference in the system. That's the point of these meetings, that's the point of Congress, that's the point of these elections. I understand your frustration, Melvin, but we got to make it work. And I'll tell you what, personally, even if I knew I was going to lose, I'd rather go down swinging than lay down and let these a-holes put their foot on my throat.
I agree.
So, anyway, excuse me for taking your time, but I go with what?
I want one rebuttal.
Okay.
Robin doesn't even live in our district. She can't vote in our district. I vote in our district. That's all.
It's not constitutionally required.
It's not constitutionally required, but I'll tell you what is required. The state requires that you live in your district. They also have term limits. And I believe the federal should be applied to that as well.
Okay, we have a lady here with a question, then Keith, you're next.
You mentioned some of the places that are talking about shutting down, doing away with FBI and that kind of stuff. Is the IRS listed in that?
Oh, it needs to be, I personally believe we need to go to the fair tax, where only new goods and services are taxed. Income tax is part of the redistribution of wealth. And the IRS being armed against we the people, no. There are more armed bureaucrats in DC now than we have in the armed forces. It ought not to be, and we paid for those weapons and those bullets.
Yeah, they need to
Keith,
do away with it.
you're next.
Mr. Carter, we know the mainstream media lies to us continually and act only as a arm of the Democrat Party. Do you have any ideas to stop that?
The media?
The media.
Yeah. So, like on social media, they really need to be considered a utility because the utility requires equal representation of both sides. And what they have right now is basically DC and Democrats, right? So a good bill might be to proclaim like Facebook and the Zuckerbucks and all that other stuff to be a utility.
I'd like to speak to integrity, if I could.
Of course, yeah. Any question, even if it's not addressed directly to you, either one of you has the freedom to step in.
Okay. I believe, and well, just so you know, I don't miss church at all, unless I'm in the hospital or I have something like communicable, right? I think in my whole life, I've missed church when I was on ship and they didn't have any church there. That was just one Sunday ago. But I will tell you, I believe that lying is a sin before God, and I call it flammable, like adultery, pride. It's one of those things that'll get you in big, big trouble the last day. So when I tell you that Mr. Hamilton indicated that to the Carter GOP, that he was, as far as abortion goes, it should be up to the mother, then it was something else was indicated in a different direction to me. Abortion is, I believe, a sin before God. Robin thinks it's, abortion is an awful evil and needs to be done away with. I mean, I would say unless the mother, it's a terminal pregnancy, then that's it. So I think that's showing a disparity. You say one thing to one group and another thing to another group. The Republican platform is really plain.
Can I clarify? I believe life begins at conception.
Absolutely.
And there are certain instances where a woman doesn't have a choice. And I personally can't decide those issues for that woman. And that's what I was referring to when you were talking to me. Okay? The government regulating something like that, it's a slippery slope. You know, you get to Handmaid's Tale or something like that. But do we need a right? The Constitution itself guarantees us life, liberty, and happiness. And that life is for the unborn as well. And that's how it should be. And we shouldn't have to worry about all the disgusting things that the left does and Planned Parenthood, you know, abortion factories and baby parts ending up in research locations. Those are terrible things that have to be stopped. And I believe those have to be stopped. And I believe in the sanctity of life. And that's all I can say as a rebuttal to her.
Okay, a question. I have a question. How can you two, either one of you, stop funding abortions through the federal government?
To vote no on the budgets that give money to Planned Parenthood. I go a little bit further. I said, I don't give my money to Procter & Gamble or Kraft or Johnson & Johnson, the entities. I don't shop at Walmart. I don't shop at Lowe's. Anything that's on the CFR or that gives money to Planned Parenthood, just take, use your second vote, take your money away from it.
Yeah, there's been constitutional amendments proposed in order to codify the right to life, and that's something that I would support.
Melvin, you're next.
Well, according to my Bible, it's not right for abortion or gay rights, but yet we make laws legalizing stuff like that. And that's where I say the church is divided. You got preachers that refuse to get up and preach against goodness.
And the question is?
They're afraid, they're more fearful of what the government's going to do to them than they are of what God's going to do. Because we're all being judged.
Melvin, at least you're consistent.
And that's my right. She said she speaks the truth, I'll
Okay.
speak the truth.
There was no question in that, but I let you go anyway. I'm soft and easy. What can I say? Jay, you're next.
Darren, we've been around this abortion issue a little bit here, and you gave a little bit of rebuttal. What is your definitive stance on abortion?
Shouldn't have abortions.
Okay.
So it's not up to the mom to decide then.
If you said that, Darren, then that changes your position.
Shouldn't have abortions.
So it's not up to the mother. You also just said a couple of minutes ago, there
All right.
are situations
Let me
where they can have
clarify.
abortions.
The concern I have is rape and incest and the woman wanting to kill herself as opposed to just getting an abortion.
Yeah, well, then you ought to state, that's all I'm saying. Is
And that's
you
what I'm
should
saying.
state it then as you're against abortion except in the situations of rape or incest.
Yeah.
Boom, end of discussion.
What's that?
Could I have just a word?
Sure, go ahead.
I'm the mother of 7 daughters. And if any one of them or myself were raped, it's not the baby's fault because their dad was a waste of skin. That baby shouldn't have to pay the ultimate price.
That's right.
And there are things like adoption, and those things need to be given, not just Planned Parenthood.
Okay, you're next.
I'm just going to get the subject about the J6s.
Excuse me, about what?
The
January
J6ers.
Okay.
Sixers. That is a fine frontier. It's already like Vietnam and everything else. Why is it in the forefront every day? When they were we had the Iranian crisis, where they forfeit, we hear, oh, we're so embarrassed here, and then
Your question is?
it should be every day. Are you going to have it brought to the public attention? They should not be in jail or anything.
Good question.
Every day it should be over the highway. I don't see how you can get it out.
Suzanne, I'll let you take that first, and we'll go to Darren.
There's no doubt that their constitutional liberties have been swept aside. Every one of them should be freed to their families, and reparations from the left should be taken out of their bank accounts to those people who have lost lives. They've lost their livelihoods. They've lost the time with their families that you can't replace. They need to be paid from the pockets of the left that put them there. Pelosi was in charge of Capitol security, and those doors only opened from the inside. It was a complete setup from the beginning to the end.
But
And we should be praying for those people every single day.
No, let him respond.
Or you had a follow-up question, huh?
Okay, your follow-up question?
my deal was, like, when they were saying that when Trump won, they were saying Russia every day. Why can't we get on airways to have some states? We have platforms
Yeah.
every
And we need
day.
to put pressure on the people that are representing us, or supposedly, representing us. Pressure on them. They need to hear from us, and they put on their pants the same way we do. They're no better than we are, because they're a senator or representative. We need to bury them in emails and letters and phone calls. Incidentally, on their little scale, a letter call will get more attention to them than an email or phone call, just saying.
Darren?
That'd be great, but letters and emails don't seem to do anything. I know we've all probably sent
Can
them.
do everything.
What's that?
The Democrats seem to do everything.
They do, because they
We
seem,
can't. Why not?
they seem to be, they have a bunch of people behind them. You know, we talk about the deep state, we talk about the media, we talk about conspiracy theories that there's the one world government. You know, all those things very well may be the case.
We have
And
AFA and all these other.
Yeah. Okay, and I'm gonna get in on this myself. The reason is, it's very simple, they own 98% of the media.
Yes.
All of the big networks, including Fox. It's the best of the bunch, but they've been moving left for a decade at least. Now, I'm now in my 8th year of living without a television set. Folks, this is the only way you can effectively fight that. I get all the news I want, but I know what sites on the internet that I can trust and which ones I need to verify. So folks, if you really are upset with the way things are going with the media, get rid of your friggin' TV set. Your life will be much more peaceful, and you get a hell of a lot more reading done. So that's me blowing my horn. One of the smartest moves I ever made was giving my TV to my neighbor in Albuquerque, way before I moved back
I
to
don't have
Oklahoma.
a TV set.
I'll
I
counter
have a
that.
radio and it's.
If
not
you
on
turn
radio.
off your TV, you don't know what the opposition's doing.
Well, yeah, but if it's turned off, it can always be turned back on. And folks, everything, use the TV as a negative barometer on information. If you hear it on TV, figure that if you disbelieve everything you hear on TV, you're gonna be right a whole lot more than you're gonna be wrong. Rush Limbaugh, years and years ago, was on his show and he just said very simple. He'd either seen something on CBS News or in the New York Times or some major media outlet. And he said, I thought to myself, my God, what if that's true? Okay, that's me. I'll get off the soapbox here. Yes, ma'am.
Well, it's not a question, but it has to do with a rebuttal with you about Fox TV. There is a station, it's called Newsmax, and it's
Yeah,
pretty
Newsmax
good.
is good. They're a little harder to get connected up with. Daily Wire is good. There's some good outlets out there, folks, but you have to search them out, and I don't think, most of them you can't get on the TV set.
I don't
So,
have a TV.
let's see. You were next, Marilyn.
One American News.
Oh, yeah.
One American News is one of the best.
Okay, I've had good results with
I
them.
get it coming over my phone.
Wade?
Yes, I was a representative or a delegate to the state convention last year, Republican convention, and I saw what looked to me like a great big kindergarten playground fight. It was the most ridiculous thing I'd ever seen. What is it gonna take for the representatives of our state and our two senators to come together as one group instead of all having their own agendas and things like that. I mean, is there some way, or is that even something to consider?
I'll take it first. If I'm elected, I would coordinate with our local representatives, all the ones in the district, go county by county, including commissioners, even mayors, and find out what the problems are and bring that, you know, as part of trying to fix the problem in DC. You know, you can't go first off and think you're gonna save the world, because as a freshman, you have no power, you're on the bottom. You know, it takes seniority to get any power. And then that power, you know, I've talked to a couple of the folks running for various state positions, and they don't talk to Frank. They don't talk to any of the other federal legislators. But that's part of the problem. They need to coordinate. Our state needs to be in lockstep at the state
Democrats
and
all
federal.
are.
Exactly.
When am I clear in that you're speaking about the GOP convention?
Yes.
Okay, so generally our legislators do not attend. And when Langford showed his face, I gave him the business. But the person, they have one, like, the senator that was conducting things, that was the chairing there are factions inside our party that are deliberately trying to sabotage efforts on the floor to move things forward. And you saw a taste of that. You know, they'll call for a quorum, they'll send some of their people home, call for another quorum, and so that we can't actually do the business that we're there to do. Just like they have infiltrated the guy that came up from Texas and pretended to be a viable candidate, and that he was found out. That's gone on, it's going on throughout our nation, I fully believe. These people have infiltrated our party as well. But we have made great strides. We have.
I think I'm an infiltrator.
They have the grassroots was able to get their candidates to be elected as the people to go to Washington as the GOP congressional people. And we were able to kind of control things and vote a complete body of resolutions instead of one by one being read, because they would sabotage us so quickly. So we are making strides, but it's a matter of purifying the party and the districts and getting the right people into positions where they can be on the floor. That's a part of it. So that's why it's so important to be in and involved in your legislative districts. We went through years ago when I was in Louisville, we went through legislative district by legislative district, and if they were pro-abortion, we struck their name from the slate. So that's one thing you can do. You get a little bit more control. Make sure they're going to adhere to the platform, because you can go to jbs.org, look at your legislators, and see where they're rating. Go to the Oklahoma Constitution newspaper and look at their rating, because they, on the Freedom Index or the Conservative Index for the Oklahoma Constitution newspaper. Sorry if it's so long.
What she's talking about is grassroots, and that starts every fourth Thursday, meeting at Pioneer Tech for the K County Republican Party. Joe Baden is chair and Nathan Volkers is vice chair. And I was at the last K County GOP convention. I was the only person from my precinct. Glenn, you were the only one from yours, were you not? So that's, if you want to make a change, it's called getting involved. As I was pitching earlier, the first level is membership in OK2A. Second level is come to at least one of my meetings a month. I have two, and I'd love to see you both, but I'll settle for one. Okay, we've got a question here and then over here. Go ahead.
Every day I hear this crap all day long. Has me so fired up I want to punch somebody. Well, you know, look at the building we're in. What building are we in? We're a church. Every night when I say my prayers, say, God, I know you're in charge. Just make it a little easier on us if you could, please.
Well, I saw a great meme. I've been quoted 150 times in the last month. God's in charge. God is in control. But folks, he doesn't expect us to lean on a shovel and pray for a
No,
hole.
we gotta help.
Exactly. We gotta work. So, Bruce, you're up next.
I'm sorry you're gonna get mad, it's not a question, but it was only to help with the follow-up.
You're
about-
bigger than me. I guess I'll cut you.
Well, it has to do with them asking questions about the state GOP convention, which I am the
Go
vice
ahead.
chair at Harper
Yeah.
County and been to the
Yeah.
last 3 of them. And if you don't know, were you there this time?
Yes, sir.
Well, you need to make it a point that we took a vote and we basically threw all the politicians out. You cannot be a politician and be a representative to the GOP now. I don't know if it's good or bad. I kind of liked it, but it also gives you a little bit of an idea of the way people are feeling right now. We're tired of the bullcrap.
Yep.
Well,
You're up.
in regard to what you just said, Ms. Johnson just said something about make sure you have the right people in the right place. According to whose standards?
But just go by the Republican platform. It's very direct. I mean, it's long and involved, but it's very conservative.
But the problem is an awful lot of our senators and congressmen in this state don't pay a bit of attention to what
Right,
our
no.
Yeah, I
Republican
just
platform
had one
is.
up on the screen a few minutes ago, Bill Coleman.
OK2A platform too.
Well, I changed Langford's name to Lackford, L-A-C-K.
I voted against him. I talked to him. I voted for his opponent. I've tried.
Wayne, you're up next.
You know, we know we have major problems,
Amen, brother.
but what I have never seen is a politician who has come up with a plan to solve it in reality, which actually, you know, we both have rights on both sides. Even the people we don't agree with, they have rights. The problem is, can we live together? And if we can't, how do we separate so that we can both live?
been a lot
I've
of-
never seen a plan presented by any politician to do that. What kind of plan do you think?
One of the problems is people talk too deeply about that exact subject. That's one way to get your resume enhanced, because the FBI is very likely want to come visit with you. So that's why, well, I'll tell you, we have to be careful in public. And as I said, what's important is solving it politically. So, and
Otherwise,
again,
it's-
they're one of 565 votes up there, but I'll let both of you address.
Well, I believe in living by the good book, you know? You love everybody, okay? Doesn't say you have to trust everybody. It says be wise as serpents and innocent as doves, okay? Something this gentleman said, I am so sorry, but it's gonna get a whole lot worse before it gets better. And so we need to be prepared for that. There will be a separation in the people, the wheat from the tares. We just need to make sure we're living what we know and standing by and being honest in all things, so that when that separation comes, we're gonna be with the sheep and not the goats. But we need to pray for those people that have been blinded by the left. We're supposed to pray for our enemies. I know that one of these crooked politicians that got his hand caught in a cookie jar and was asking for people to pray for him. I did. I prayed that he would be stripped of his power, that he would be cast down from his high place. I did pray for him though. So we can pray for these people because some of them are just deceived. But I think it's really important that we remember to have love in our hearts for all people, even the left, you know, that we love them and pray for them, but prepare against that which is to come. And sir, would you mind terribly, would you mind come up here a little bit so we can hear you? Would that be okay?
I need to answer, I need to
Yeah.
respond.
Well, I just want him to come up forward so we can hear his
He always
voice.
sits in the back.
Thank you so
All
much.
right.
Yeah, okay,
Good Lord.
Darren, you're up.
As far as a detailed plan, when you get to Congress of what can you do to fix it? And the only thing that I've been able to come up with is repeating the Constitution over and over again, the specific points in the Constitution that they are violating. All the bills passed have a single issue that they're supposed to be reflected on, and they also mention that they have to call out why they're constitutional. Well, omnibus bill is not a single issue, yet they call it under funding the government as a single issue. So they are already in violation of things that have already passed. So all you can do is go back and repeat the Constitution in their faces on the floor to all these 435 members and anyone else in their, staff, that if they're undermining the Constitution, they are doing treason. They are treasonous.
Okay, we have time for one, maybe two questions, depending on how long the question. Is there another question? Last chance, folks. Up. Okay, you're up again.
My last one, and I agree with what you say, God is in control. And with John Kerry and all this stuff that's coming in covered, it's been dumped in our laps. And we're saying we can do it, but nobody seems to be acting on it. We don't run with it.
Okay, another step. Okay, we got time for one more question. Is there anybody got a question? All right, folks, let's give them a big hand. They both traveled the distance to get here. Both of you did a great job. You presented your position, I thought, really well. Do y'all have to leave, or you want to hang around and? Oh, that's right. Okay, we'll do that after we get everything else wound up. Glenn? Oh, Jake? Yeah.
I just want to make one comment to the group. Suggest this past week, there was a Senate committee reviewing the ATF. And they had the director of the ATF.
Right,
there,
I saw the
Delbach.
questioning. Jim Jordan?
Delbach, he's the director of
No,
the
no,
ATF.
but Jordan was the questioner.
No, Jordan wasn't the questioner, there were 8 of them.
Oh, okay.
And they absolutely fried this guy over the Malinowski thing in Little Rock.
It's outrageous.
The ATF, just to tell you what happened.
Well, let's keep it short because we're going to run out of time.
The ATF kicked down his door at 6 o'clock in the morning, shot him and killed him.
Yeah, without
a warrant. They had a search warrant, but they didn't have a warrant for his arrest. They shot and killed him.
And they did not have their body cameras on. They put tape over the Ring doorbell camera. They executed this guy, and he was the manager of the Little Rock Airport. He was a prominent, well-situated local guy, and they just shot him down. The ATF has done this. There's red flag laws. Everybody in here knows what red flag laws are. There's been at least 2 law-abiding citizens shot and killed in their homes because they refused to comply with the jackbooted thugs on their doorstep without a search warrant that were going to come in and seize all their guns and ammo.
Wasn't one of them actually a preacher?
I'm not sure.
I don't know if it was the one that got shot or one that got arrested. One of them was actually a preacher.
And that's 2 just that I know of. I'll bet you if I did some research, there's been more than that. All right, Glenn, you're up, brother. Folks, again, this is the last week of the session. Be sure and contact Bill Coleman about SB 426. I'm going to keep beating the drum on that because we will not have sovereignty anymore. We will be dictated to by a bunch of overpaid, dishonest, crooked bureaucrats in Europe. Glenn, on that upper note, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Well, thank you so much. I will say that last couple of weeks, 3 weeks, a lot of their time has been dominated by the budget, and they're not getting along with that for various reasons, and we'll go into that. So a lot of things that we were interested in have just been kind of stuck. House Bill 1449, which is the Women's Bill of Rights, which really clearly identifies who's a man and who's a woman and a few other things like that. That passed. It's in a 2-year process. It passed in the House last session. In this session, it passed in the Senate. But the Senate made some amendments. So it went back to the House, and it's sitting in the House. They're not moving on it. And I think that's part of this back and forth that they've been going through. So they're not helping each other, not dealing with each other. Also the same situation, the House Bill 2643, which identified that if you had a marijuana license as a patient, that you would not be denied. Thank you. Your right to have an SDA license, and So that passed the House, it passed the Senate made some amendments, so now it's back in the House and there it sits. So we need some things moving along. Another one, really, some of us are very interested in, is Senate Bill 36, which allowed school districts to hire or accept volunteer chaplains. So in case of emergencies or situations where a school district felt like they needed a chaplain to come in and counsel with students and things like that, that passed the Senate. It went to the House where they made some amendments, and the amendments they made, I felt probably just a little overkill, because their amendment specified that the person had to have a graduate degree in theological education. They had to be in compliance with their own denominational or their tradition. And so now that is stuck in the Senate. They're not looking at those amendments. And Terry's already talked about Senate Bill 426. That went to a committee conference, and rumor is they may have come to an agreement, but that's not official yet. It's not listed. But if they do come to agreement, then it'll go back out for a vote, which we hope it does. Let's see. Couple other things that are kind of stuck in like looking at the amendments. Senate Bill 1218, which we were interested in, prohibited the denial of firearm purchase under circumstances. Basically, it legalized firearm purchases for anybody 18 years of age or older. Now the House made on the floor, they made an amendment to that, which added that anybody under 21, so 18 or to 21, had to go through a firearms training course. In other words, just a basic firearms course. So now that's stuck in the Senate. They're not pushing. They've accepted, or they haven't accepted, but the amendment has arrived in the Senate, and they haven't acted on it. So that's sitting there doing nothing. Also, Senate Bill 1705 was the alien ownership of land, which has been going back and forth for several years. Again, that passed the Senate, went to the House. They made a floor amendment, so now it's back in the Senate and sitting there. They're not doing anything about it. Yes.
Can I just clarify one thing on that, the alien land thing that you just talked about? I have recently run across several articles that say that they're not just after the land, particularly people like Bill Gates want the land for the water rights, so they can control us having use of water on our land.
Yeah, there's
where we can't grow our own food. So just in case everybody.
a lot of issues with water rights going on now too.
Yeah.
A couple things that did go to the House, or go to the governor and was approved. One that happened recently was House Bill 1629, which gave the right to convicted felons the right to vote. So it would restore their right to vote after they have completed their full sentences and any probations or anything like that, and that would go into effect on January the 1st of 25. So after this election. Let's see, they did pass House Bill 3156 on the ranked choice voting, and the governor approved that. A couple of things here. Well, I mean, declined. I mean, it was on. It was. Sorry if I didn't say that correct. of course, some of us are very happy with House Bill 3727, which said that students in the 3rd to 5th grade had to learn cursive. The governor signed that. Now we can't hide things from our grandkids. Another one is interesting. House Bill 3960, the governor approved, but this removed the probation exception for felony DUIs. In other words, on a 3rd conviction or after that, the court cannot suspend the sentence or give a probation after the 3rd or subsequent convictions. Yes, will go in effect in November. And of course, news has been filled. If you've been watching the news, and Terry hasn't been watching the news, House Bill 4156 over the immigration status. So that's been a lot in the news. Another one that we were supporting was Senate Bill 859 about larceny of a firearm. That increased the sentences, the imprisonment from 2 to 5 years, the fine from 1,000 to 2,500. The governor approved that. Another one that may impact some of us, Senate Bill 1291, which shortens the period for your renewal for an SDA license. Now, a couple of years ago, they extended that to 3 years. And I wondered why go 3 years for renewal? But anyway, so now it's back to 30 days beginning November the 1st. You can renew after that, but your license will not be current, I guess we would say, after 30 days.
License is still legal for up to a 30-day grace period after the expiration,
Right.
Is that correct? Oh, okay. I wasn't aware of this.
See, it was 3 years. A couple of years ago, they changed that to 3 years. And so now it's back to 30 days.
Fair enough.
Let's see. Of course, the Senate Bill 1470 was vetoed by the governor, and they've got another bill in process through the House that would take care of part of that issue. That was over the mitigating factors in a conviction that dealt with abuse, physical and psychological and things like that. So they've got another bill that's not quite as detailed as the 1470, and it's progressing through right now. I didn't bring the number of that. And then this just passed Thursday. The Senate Bill 1994 was allowing an owner of a property that's being occupied by somebody unlawfully occupying their property, squatters. Okay, thank you, Jay. To get the request from the sheriff to remove that person. So that was just past Thursday, so it hasn't gone to the governor's desk yet. That'll probably happen Monday. I assume they're working Monday and not taking a holiday. But that should go to the governor's desk on Monday. Anything else? All right.
Thanks, Glenn. Folks, give him a big hand. Glenn puts in hours every week tracking these. How many bills? Was it like 1,400 bills to start out this session?
Don't remember exactly, but I was tracking a little over 200.
Yeah. So, if you've ever tracked one bill, you got an idea of what Glenn is doing for everybody. Okay, and I screwed up earlier. I forgot to introduce Kelly Mullins. Thank you for coming. Right? No? Oh, okay. Okay. And let's see here. Okay, we've got a raffle to do. And Darren has brought some ammunition. Some of you came in late. Is there anybody here that doesn't have a red ticket for the raffle? Okay, we've got one over here. Is that it? Everybody got a red ticket? All right. Well, it's 1:30. We've done an hour and a half. It's been a very productive meeting. Again, thank you for coming. Thank you for your intelligent questions and the few speeches we got to hear. Melvin? You know what I might do one of these months? All of you that have speeches to make, come talk to me. We might have a meeting and have a series of 3 or 4 or 5 of you come up here and make a speech without me telling you to get to your damn question. Yeah. So I think I probably already know who's going to talk to me. You've got my phone number. You know where to reach me, how to reach me. I'll be here after the meeting. So if you've got something, come and let me know. I'll start a list, and we'll schedule it. That might be kind of fun, actually. All right. Darren?
First number, 7200 for 1 box of 9 mil.
7200?
Is that the last number?
7200.
Okay, that's me.
All right.
Hey, there you go. And Suzanne, you notice he moved right back to the back.
Yes,
It's
I saw
always
that.
where he says.
He always does.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, another box of 9 mil. 7203. Unique.
Hey, there you go.
Congratulations.
I did.
Very, that may be a very useful gift one of these days.
You can barter with it, or you can have a firearm for it, yep. Okay, 1 more box of 9 mil, then a grand prize of 120 rounds of 5.56. The box of 9 mil is 7187. Hey! And last one.
That was good.
Rounds, 5.56.
What?
120 rounds of 5.56. 7182. 7182. You got it? All right, congratulations. 5.56.
Very good. Yeah. Any final short comments or questions for me? All right, folks.
I would like to just thank Pastor Jack again.
Amen. Yeah, let's all thank Pastor Jack and Stephen. It's been a great venue, and I'm blessed to have you in my corner. All right, folks, have a safe Memorial Day. Remember, this is about the guys and ladies who did not come home. And it's not about just a 3-day weekend and getting drunk. Though I imagine there's going to be a little bit of that going on.
Well, Terry, since you don't have a TV,